is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hey Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
The Department of Indian Work partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. Now you can call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can also schedule a free COVID-19 vaccine at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. Appointments are available for residents 16 years of age and older. Vaccines are available to certain residents of Hennepin, Ramsey, Anoka, and Dakota counties. Call the Minnesota American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986 to find out when you can get your free COVID-19 vaccination. Appointments are available April 16th through June 19th. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986. That's 651-304-9986.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 40, Saturday sunny with a high near 66, Sunday cloudy with a high near 65, and Monday partly cloudy with a high near 74.
Get guaranteed appliance savings from Minnesota specialists at Warner Stellian. Choose from the area's largest selection of in-stock, top-rated appliances and get an extra 5% rebate plus free delivery for a limited time and only at Warner Stellian.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Cody Cup, hit me cut again, man.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanjahare, which means distant thunder. My colonized name is Robert Pilot, along with my taxpayer name, too, is Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss Native issues and all over Turtle Island, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. Call them at 651-304-9986. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Wow. I don't know. It's already the weekend. I think a lot of people are out of town.
Yeah, it's a holiday weekend. Memorial Day's Monday.
Yeah, I was at a ceremony, a somewhat ceremony today. There was a lot of prayer and smudging off. McGeezy, that educational leg of the Native community here, Wendy, on Franklin Avenue, started out 40 years ago. They started out as educating in media college students, and now they've really widened up, and they've been around for so long. And as you know, during the George Floyd uprising, McGeezy was the only Native business that burned down.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're rebuilding. They bought a building
Awesome.
on Lake Street
Mm-hmm.
here in Minneapolis. And there was an open ceremony there today, and there was a couple hundred people there, and it was they fed, as you know, natives always feed people,
Mm-hmm.
and I was interesting side note, Wendy, is that now that I'm a mini elder at 60, a young person must have recognized that because they brought me a dish.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
without even saying, "Hey, where's my dish? I'm an elder."
They fix you a plate. Good for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yes.
So that was like my first experience with that, which
Mm-hmm.
was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing too, I want to talk about before we get to the news with Ogama is we were watching a show yesterday, Wendy, and
Mm-hmm.
let me just tell everybody, I watched it on my computer, and I was kind of like, "Oh, this is lame." And then I heard somebody say that, and the show is called Rutherford Falls. I can't talk to.
Rutherford Falls.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you.
It's on the Peacock Network.
Yeah, so you can only get it through their website, but it's free
Mm-hmm.
and really limited commercials, as we saw.
Yeah.
And we watched 3 of them,
Mm-hmm.
and it was funnier than heck.
I really liked it. Yeah. I think it really has heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
And it's about a white man who owns the town, really, or his name is after the town, and the Native Americans who really founded the town, and how the dynamics of that plays out.
Well, it's fun too.
I don't want to say too much.
There's
but
a casino. There's a tribal leaders. So it's right.
Yeah.
I think it stars the guy from The Office,
Mm-hmm.
and he produces it. And it seems like in the beginning it's about the Rutherford, his great grandfather who founded the land, but it's really turned into some native centric information.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it has heart. It's almost, when you said that, that's right. Because I think, one of our favorite movies, Smoke Signals, that's one of the things that we can really watch because it has heart and a lot of native jokes, but also a lot of funny jokes that outside people can understand.
Yeah, I really liked it. We'll have to keep watching it. I think there's 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a former Harding student. I didn't remember Bobby, but he's in it, and he's kind of a naysayer to one of the characters that wants to start a cultural center inside the middle of the casino.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
Yeah.
He's kind of a naysayer to her.
Yeah.
And she's got 2 degrees, so she's kind of living in two places,
2 different worlds.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it's great. We're going to binge a little bit on that tonight.
Yeah. I'm going to check it out.
All right. Hey, Heather Keeler said hi. Hey, she wore a Resist t-shirt I'm wearing today. We love having Heather Keeler on the show. We have to get her on again quick, and all the stuff that she's been doing.
Yeah, she's
plus
very
raising
busy.
a family.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Busy.
I want to say who to Heather Keeler out there, state House Representative.
Yeah.
Up there in the Moorhead area. So Ogama, we've eaten most of your time. But what's really fun normally before we go on these long vacations is that Ogama has a lot of great news what's happening around Turtle Island, native centric wise. So why don't we go to Ogama with the news? Welcome.
Hi, Anim Bushu. Thanks, Robert, Wendy. I was really excited to hear you guys talk. You had a lot of really wholesome news with your Elder Plate story and also Rutherford Falls. I have trouble saying that too, but I just signed up on the Peacock Network. So that's my weekend plan too, is I really want to check it out. I've seen it come through and I haven't gotten to watch any yet. So without further ado, though, I do have some pipeline news. As always, if you have not yet signed up for the Treaty People Gathering in northern Minnesota, please go to treatypeoplegathering.com and get signed up so that they know you're coming. It's going to be a really great event. It's going to be a really big event, and we're so excited to have you here in Minnesota. I hope you're all vaccinated and everybody wears masks. That's all I have to say. Other news that we have, I really wanted to touch base on three really big things that happened. It was kind of a really bad day for big oil. Bill McKibben, the co-founder of the environmentalist group 350.org, tweeted today, an utterly crushing day for big oil. Number one, Chevron investors demand emissions cut. 2, Dutch court tells Shell to cut emissions by half. And 3, Exxon shareholders buck the company and elect directors demanding climate action.
Wow.
Thanks to all who fight, you push long enough and dominoes tumble is what it says. So I kind of dug into a little bit of that. So on Wednesday, Chevron stockholders voted overwhelmingly in favor of a proposal to cut emissions generated by the use of the company's products, which is something that's really been unheard of so far. But Reuters reported that the shareholders voted 61% in favor of the proposal to cut emissions based on a preliminary vote tally announced by Chevron at its annual meeting. So that is really that's a big deal that investors are wisening up. In the case of the Dutch company against Dutch Royal Shell, plaintiffs claimed that Shell was threatening human rights by continuing to invest billions of dollars in the production of fossil fuels, and they won. The court at The Hague ordered Shell to reduce carbon emissions by 45% by 2030 as compared to their 2019 levels. And then BlackRock had to elect people for their board of directors. They had nominees. And there was 4 nominees, and the company actually opposed the election of the 4 nominees and actually stopped voting for an hour in the middle of a meeting, trying to make changes happen. But 2 of the 4 were elected, and the 2 people that were elected were environmentalists. So that's big news too. So thought I'd let everybody know. Happy news on this Friday. Big oil took some big hits, and special shout out to Bill McKibben for that tweet and for alerting me on where to go to check out more info so I could share that with people today.
Hey, thanks a lot. Slow news, but we're going to be ramping it up here real soon. I'm just going to play a little excerpt out the last minute here of Rutherford Falls.
What I'm about to say is completely off the record, but I want you to hear it. For someone who claims to give a voice to the voiceless, you have a real problem listening. And while I appreciate you seem to have read the entire Wikipedia entry for our tribe, you will never grasp a traditional Minneshanka way of life because you come from a society that values the self over the whole. Doesn't matter how you dress it up. That's why you're choosing to focus on some purity test instead of what we're trying to actually achieve here. Have you ever heard of the 7 generations?
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Over the past year and more, we've all missed out on a lot. Family time, graduations, weddings. And missing those events, we've missed out on even more. Friendships, connections, community, belonging. That's a long time to miss things this important. So don't miss on getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Vaccines are now available throughout Hennepin County to anyone over the age of 16. Just visit takecarehennepin.org and sign up to get yours. That's takecarehennepin.org.
The Department of Indian Work partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. Now you can call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can also schedule a free COVID-19 vaccine at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. Appointments are available for residents 16 years of age and older. Vaccines are available to certain residents of Hennepin, Ramsey, Anoka, and Dakota counties. Call the Minnesota American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986 to find out when you can get your free COVID-19 vaccination. Appointments are available April 16th through June 19th. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986. That's 651-304-9986.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents. I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. Call them at 651-304-9986. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Hey, so that was just a little taste of Rutherford Falls,
Mhm.
and what he was going to go on to say. We only played like 40 seconds of it. Is
Mhm.
that we think of our of the next 7 generations
Right.
ahead of us. We make all the decisions we make right now today for our people in the next 7 generations,
Mhm.
and it's a very important way to live and look
Mhm.
at, because we
Absolutely.
care about our people, and we want our people to be strong in the next 7 generations, and not only be strong but thrive. So
Mhm.
yeah, like you said, there's good heart in that.
Mhm.
Hey, so Mary Kunesh, state senator, is up in the deep north, and she's heading home, and we can hear her car in the background. Welcome, Mary Kunesh. How you doing?
I'm good, Robert and Wendy. It's actually been a beautiful drive down to the Twin Cities from way up north. Just enjoying a nice, quiet, solitude drive.
Cool. Hey, can you tell our people what you were doing up in the deep north there?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I was invited to attend Red Lake Reservation's State of the Tribe report. And so I drove up there last night and joined the community around 10 o'clock this morning. They are still being very careful about COVID, which is kind of nice to know. It's a bit of a relief. And so we sat outside. We sat out on the powwow grounds and up in the stands, and they had like state of the art screens and speakers so that we could listen and hear all the different reports from their different committees and other elected officials around the state. It was actually just a beautiful, beautiful day to do that.
Wow, it was beautiful down here in the cities too. So I saw you were with House Representative Heather Keeler.
Yeah, she and I both arrived about the very same time this morning, and so we walked in together, and lo and behold, who do we see but Council Member Audrey Thayer from Bemidji. And it's so funny, I think you know this, Robert, but I had never met Audrey in person, though I felt like we were a kindred spirit for the last year, because she was running for city council up there, and I was running for my Senate seat, and so a bunch of us natives would get together and support each other in our campaigns. And so when I saw her in person, it was like a long lost friend, and we ended up pretty much spending the day together. But what was really great is to hear the reports from all the different, like I said, the different committees on the reservation on Red Lake, and really to hear and understand the effects that COVID has had on that community over the last year and how they dealt with it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And we love Audrey too. She's been on the symposium and on the show and on Rock the Boat Native Style. She's a spark plug.
She is. She's very passionate, I would have to say. And, you know, on top of being a college instructor up there and running for and succeeding in her election for council member, she's finishing up her doctorate. Did you know that? So she's kind of a Wonder Woman, if you ask me.
I know. I don't like to hang out with overachievers. They make me look bad and lazy. But no, we watch her on Facebook of what she's doing, and Wendy's reached out to her too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, she's awesome and she's very approachable, and hopefully we can work on some good stuff together. So we're working on something. It's a secret though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know
I'll wait
either.
for the big preview.
Yeah,
Ooh,
definitely.
It's a big one.
Yeah, definitely. So tell us, what are you doing this holiday weekend? Are you going to be powwowing anywhere? Are you just going to hang out with the family? Or, I mean, it seems like everybody's already out of town, and Wendy are the only ones in town.
Yeah, it's I looked at my calendar and I think, oh, I'm not going to be that busy, but I sort of am. You know, I'm taking this Dakota language class, and it's every Saturday morning from 10 to noon, so that consumes half of my Saturday. And then my daughter is just starting her own line of sausages, like bratwurst and sausages. And so she started her gig at the Northeast Farmers Market last week, and she's doing it again this week. So I told her I'd go over and spell her a little bit.
Oh.
And then, and then there's, I have a couple of family members that are having birthdays, and there's graduations. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but my dad passed away Memorial Day weekend, actually, on I think it was the 29th, yes, tomorrow. He was riding his bicycle and was hit by a car.
Oh.
And so this weekend is always a little bittersweet for my family. So I will probably drive up to Sartell where he's laid to rest and spend the afternoon on Monday with him and my mom, and just kind of go through some memories.
Wow. Yeah.
I think that's important for us to do those types of things. I think it's just good for your soul to do that.
Yeah.
It is. It's the little town that, well, it was a little town when I was growing up there. I think it was like 7,500 people. Now it's probably 10 times that amount. So it's sort of hard to go back because it isn't the little country village that I grew up in. But it still feels good to go back there and see the names of people that I recognize and some of the sites that are still there.
Yeah, it is bittersweet. Yeah.
When I go back to New York, to Oceanside, New York, pass by where my mom lived and visit the places where she liked. It's hard. It's hard to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bittersweet too for you, Wendy. Even going to a place that you went and picked up food for her too is jars memories. And someday, hopefully for both of you, it'll be good memories instead of sad memories.
Yeah, I actually love going up there with my brothers and sisters. You know this, I come from a family of 13 kids, so we get half a dozen or more up there, and we start talking about all the mischief that we got into, because it was a little village right on the Mississippi River where the Watab Creek met, and it was very agricultural. So we pretty much just ran the woods and the creek and the river and, played all day long. But there was a lot of mischief to be had. So I love taking my kids up there and kind of giving them the lowdown on these things, and they're getting to a point where they kind of appreciate it.
Oh, I'm sure they appreciate you.
And what's not a kid that doesn't get into mischief, right?
Oh my gosh,
yeah. No doubt. Well, maybe if you can hold on for another section, what we'd love to do is talk about what maybe is coming a rise here in the next, I suppose, special session, right?
Yep, sure. I'll stick around.
Cool. So let's take a quick break here in a minute here with it's great to talk to State Senator Mary Kunesh of Minnesota, and I hope you guys in Wisconsin and Chicago are joining as much as we do. Mary is just a spark plug in our community and does so much, and
Definitely. Maybe when we come back, Mary, I wanted to just ask your opinion about the filibuster and the January 6th. Now they're not going to be investigating that anymore.
No special session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, hey, Wendy, why don't we take a quick break here?
Yeah, why don't you play your thing from Rutherford Falls there, a new show that we're watching on the Peacock network, which is Native-centric, and Robert just needs to find it on his thing, and we'll play where we left off, a little audio of a conversation from the Native American. And Robert's going to play it now.
Oh, I didn't have it queued up, so now I have to look for it.
Okay, that's good. Right there's good. All right, here we go.
Completely off the record. But I want you to hear it. For someone who claims to give a voice to the voiceless, you have a real problem listening. And while I appreciate you seem to have read the entire Wikipedia entry for our tribe, you will never grasp a traditional Minnesota way of life. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a great low-calorie snack, but it's bordering on offensive in this case. But I want you to hear it. For someone who claims or grasp a traditional Minnesota way of life, because you come from a society that values the self over the whole. Doesn't matter how you dress it up. That's why you're choosing to focus on some purity.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Eric Perkins, the Firm Realty in Edina, would like to take this time to thank all of our doctors, nurses, and first responders. In a time of crisis, they risk their own lives to ensure the safety and lives of others. Let's keep these unsung heroes in our thoughts and prayers. This from Eric Perkins, the Firm Realty in Edina. Over 20 years of experience, offering half the listing fees. Call 612-219-0234 or visit lowratecommission.com.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
This is Santita Jackson, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I couldn't be more excited about starting our days together, Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 a.m. Central on the Progressive Voice of Minnesota.
The Department of Indian Work partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. Now you can call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can also schedule a free COVID-19 vaccine at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. Appointments are available for residents 16 years of age and older. Vaccines are available to certain residents of Hennepin, Ramsey, Anoka, and Dakota counties. Call the Minnesota American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986 to find out when you can get your free COVID-19 vaccination. Appointments are available April 16th through June 19th. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986. That's 651-304-9986.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 40, Saturday sunny with a high near 66, Sunday cloudy with a high near 65, and Monday partly cloudy with a high near 74. The Great Wall Restaurant in Edina provides a delicious taste of Szechuan and Mandarin cuisine. They have some delicious meat and seafood options plus veggies, fried rice, and noodles. The Great Wall Restaurant's located just north of 50th in France on the Edina-Minneapolis border. Order online at greatwalledina.com.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
We are Elusive Nation.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice. Also, the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, wow. Hey, so we have State Senator Mary Kunesh on the phone, and she's driving in from Brainerd. And Wendy, Wendy and I were talking a little bit during the break, Mary, and how much this weekend is huge. And I know we've had powwows in the past for this weekend because per capita we have such a high amount of Native Americans that have served over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our American Indian, mostly historically, it's been men, have some of the highest numbers of enrollment or enlisting of any other group in the United States. And that was always a way for the men, especially, to get either off the reservation or to learn a trade or a skill. But it was also a way to further their education afterwards by using the GI Bill. So yeah, there have been a lot of Native people in our military services, and it's growing for women as well, as they recognize that this is again one of those opportunities for to learn a skill. I was listening to a podcast or a movie that's going to be shown tomorrow that I will be commentating on afterwards. And there was a woman who was a veteran who was telling her story and how prevalent the violence against women and especially Native women is in the military. I think it's now being addressed much better than it has in the past. But yeah, the military has been an outlet for our Native folks for many generations.
Yeah, I know there's a friend of ours named Barry who joined two services, and I think part of his mindset those years ago was that he's a warrior, he's an Oglala warrior, and this is how warriors act, and that's why he joined the service. As a matter of fact, he joined the service twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about him.
Yeah, they we're talking in code about who we're talking about, but
yep.
His wife died, and they wouldn't let him go into battle, so he joined another branch of service because he wanted to go in battle, and they wouldn't let him in battle after he joined the other service. So,
interesting.
Yeah, a lot of you Ogalas, I think, joined the service because of the true warrior spirit.
I believe so, and sometimes in some instances, there was really nothing else a Native person could do at that point in their life. As a 18, 19-year-old person living on a reservation, it was move to the cities and who knows what would happen, or, somewhat semi-safe and join the military. So.
Right. And then don't forget our code talkers during World War II. We're going to give them a shout out. With our unique native language all over Turtle Island, where nobody could decipher it unless you knew how to speak all these languages that we have. And we all have unique languages too, Mary.
It's very true. As I said, I'm learning the Dakota language, and it's taken me about 4 weeks before I really feel like I can wrap my tongue around it. And what's really nice is that when I hear people speaking it, even in a very limited way, I'm starting to understand it just a little bit. So it's a skill, that's for sure.
Hoka hey, hoka hey.
And we all know too that as the older you get, the harder learning a language is. So that's fantastic for you, Mary, to do that. Really, I give you a lot of credit.
The only Dakota word I know is wasichu.
Wasichu, wow. Yeah, so there's good things happening all over the place these days for our Native folks as well.
So tell our audience too, I mean, just a human side of what everybody that's a senator or a House representative, I mean, we always have to remember that you guys are human. You all have relationships and families and things like that. I mean, what is one of the things that you would like our audience to know specifically about legislators as human beings or yourself personally?
Right. I think that I would say that we need to have sort of time away from the public and time away from our laptops and our cell phones and those sort of things. We need to have that time that's unencumbered for our kids. Like I know Representative Keeler is driving down to Iowa to go to her son's sports events for the weekend, and I know that oftentimes there are folks that are like, you didn't answer my phone call right away, or you didn't respond to my email right away. Well, we're a part-time legislature. We're not there to be there 24/7, and so on a day like today where I can get in my car and not be able to access my computer is actually kind of a vacation. Or last night when I drove up to Red Lake and got to the hotel, I didn't pop open my computer. I was reading this book and I was just dying to finish it. And I felt a little guilty about not, connecting to my computer. But I laid there and I read my book and took a late night walk and then got up and did this. And that is really refreshing in its own way, even though my mind is always working on legislative issues or what I heard today or what I'm going to be working on next week. But just know that we need a little free time, a little private time to regenerate and refresh. And as I said, most legislative organizations across the state are part-time, and there are legislators that don't even get paid a salary to legislate. They get a per diem when they're in session, but they don't get a salary. So just remember that we all have, there are limits to how much time and energy that we can expand towards the legislation. But on the other hand, we're always most often willing to hear from our constituents.
Well, I know you are so good with the public. I watch you and I see you at these things all over Minnesota and the Capitol, and you're willing to do a selfie with people. And I think that's great because I always tell the lieutenant governor, but I want to tell you this, is that it's always great for my kids, my students, to see somebody that looks like them in a position of power like you are, and you hold it well.
Well, that's really encouraging, and I think that's certainly one of the reasons. Actually, I had a conversation with somebody today just about those issues, about seeing Native men and women in leadership roles or positions of power or decision-making spots that our students or that our kids can see that there is a future for somebody that looks like them or has had the same kind of life experiences that they have. And it's just such a valuable contribution when I think about, each of the reservations here in Minnesota, and then you think about all the different communities across the United States, whether they're urban or rural, how those leaders bring those life experiences to their leadership positions. And we need to see that variety. We need to see those and hear those different perspectives.
Yeah, who is your go-to person? Like, I mean, who did you look up to before you became a House representative? Was it Alan, or who did you eliminate or try to be like?
Well, I have to say that Jimmy Carter is the person I ever voted for, and he's got such a good heart and such a good spirit of giving and looking out for those that don't have the privilege that he had. I remember Madeleine Albright. I didn't really have a Native woman other than my mother and her sisters, who were incredibly strong character women. I mean, you just did not mess with the Kelly girls. And I remember hearing about my great aunt, Josephine Gates Kelly, who was the first chairman of the Standing Rock tribe.
Wow.
So that was just so unusual. And she would travel back and forth to Washington, D.C. In fact, originally she would hitchhike. They would get down to Chicago, and then they would hitchhike, or they'd get money from the community down in Chicago and then get out to Washington, D.C. because, if you look at their history of water and the damming of, Oahu, what is the dam out there that was built, and it totally destroyed the communities out there because the most fertile farmland got flooded after they put that dam up. And my aunt fought against that. I have an old newspaper article. She was like one of the original water warriors,
Oh.
And so I guess when now you got me thinking and remembering that those were the really good stories that we would hear. And so I would guess she would be one of those that I really, really admire. And to this day I do, especially since I have learned about her life and being sent away to Carlisle. And that's where she met her husband out there, my great uncle. And he and his brothers were sent to Carlisle and tried to run home, run away. But they didn't let him come back until he fell off a train and had his leg cut off. And then they're like, okay, you can go home.
Jeez. Ogama had a picture of your grandma. It was beautiful. Hey, we got to let you go. Thank you so much. I know you're so busy. Thank you so much for stopping in with us and speaking your truth. It's really, really awesome.
Drive safe, Mary. Have a good rest of your drive.
You're listening
You too, you guys. Have a great weekend.
You too. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Over the past year and more, we've all missed out on a lot. Family time, graduations, weddings. And missing those events, we've missed out on even more. Friendships, connections, community, belonging. That's a long time to miss things this important. So don't miss on getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Vaccines are now available throughout Hennepin County to anyone over the age of 16. Just visit takecarehennepin.org and sign up to get yours. That's takecarehennepin.org.
We are your relatives,
We are your relations,
brothers,
sisters,
sons.
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
Homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Annie, and I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
We are Alusa Nation.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. We always laugh after that. Isn't that funny?
I know. I miss Uncle Curtis on that.
Yeah, he used to really get into it.
Yeah. That was his favorite part of the show. Hey, great. Winding down here. People are heading to their cabins or wherever, and hopefully with their masks on and masking up and being safe. But, we won't be on the air live until Tuesday.
Yeah.
So,
we'll have a few days off.
Yeah.
Feel good.
First time. Maybe we should go do something.
Sounds good. Let's get a little RV and do it.
Let's buy an RV. All right. Hey, Wendy, this is, you're my awesome and beautiful wife. And that says that right here.
I wrote it, yeah.
Yeah. But, I also came home and you weren't home. And I text you, where's my awesome and beautiful wife, Wendy? And so you do an animal segment here, and you've been doing talking and fighting for our relatives for almost 4 years. And, for a lot of times.
I've been talking about it for 4 years, but I've been fighting for them for many, many years. Yeah.
Right. I meant on our show.
Yeah.
You're right. But, I just want to give you proper props and just say, hey, you've been an advocate for many, 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 many years. She is a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States. And you work on animal issues at the state and local level. Tell us your name and what are you going to talk about today?
Yeah, well, it's Friday I like to keep things light on Friday. So my name is Hanaji Hihani, and that means cares for them. And I was given that name by my Dega Curtis. So as always, Curtis, thank you very much. And I also want to thank the Governor Larry Hogan of Maryland. He just passed a bill in Maryland to ban wildlife killing contests.
Oh.
So, wildlife killing contests, it's kind of like an organized get together, and prizes are given out for killing like the most, the smallest.
And these are animals.
All kinds of animals,
right.
Squirrels, woodchucks, mountain lions, wolves, bobcats, coyotes, foxes, even little prairie dogs and rabbits and raccoons. So, and Maryland is the 8th state that has banned these wildlife killing contests. And I hope Minnesota someday does it. On the list of states that banned these wildlife killing contests is Arizona, California, Colorado, Massachusetts, New Mexico, Vermont, and Washington. So
why isn't Minnesota in there?
Oh, we're fighting. We're fighting. Believe me, we are.
We need a Senate. We need to get everyone to vote out to
my
vote.
gosh, it's really hard right now in Minnesota to get anything done because we have a
split house
crappy
or split Senate.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, crappy. Oh, that was
well,
elegant.
you know
Elegant words.
You know what I would have really said,
Friday.
but I can't. But I found this I found this funny article. It's not really funny. It's awesome. Actually, you know who sent it to me was John Robert.
James
Parrish? Robert. Yes. I can't.
That was close.
Is it Robert? James
Parrish.
Parrish. Yes. Yeah. He sent me this article. I think it's really cool. Boykin Spaniels. That's a type of a spaniel dog.
Yeah.
They have become an unlikely ally in the fight to save ornate box turtles.
Oh.
Yeah, so these are specially trained dogs that can sniff out the turtles, thereby allowing conservationists to carry out health assessments on the animals. And what happens is these four-legged volunteers can sniff out 2.5 turtles per search hour compared to the one turtle every 4 to 5 hours for a biologist. So we're a lot slower, and we can't find the turtles as fast as the dogs. But, quote, the dogs have been immensely beneficial in finding the turtles at a much faster rate than we can. They are a tremendous tool for conservation, says Dr. Matt Allender, Chicago Zoological Society clinical veterinarian and director of the University of Illinois Wildlife Epidemiology Laboratory. Ornate box turtles are one of 2 species of box turtles in the United States and of Illinois. Both have experienced habitat destruction and sharp population decline due to humans. Well, of course, it's our fault. The dogs, what the dogs do is they catch the turtles, or catch them. They notify the biologists where they are. Oh, and we have a picture of that's a Boykin Spaniel. That's what they look like. Who catch the turtles? They're very gentle with the turtles.
Thank you, Ogama.
And then what the biologists do is they look at the eyes and the ears and the mouth of the turtles and take some blood, and then what it does, it helps to, if the turtles are doing good, that means the environment around them are doing good. And if the turtles aren't doing good, then we know that the environment around them is not doing good and things need to be changed in the environment, because the box turtles are an indicator of how our environment is, if it's healthy or not. So, yeah, it's really... it's really
we're all
something
connected,
else. We
Wendy,
really are. And it says right here, we have more in common with turtles than you might think. Both species use land, sea, live long lives, and have a relatively small home range. So we're just like them, right? So the health of the box turtle is very much a reflection of the condition of the environment and its natural resources. You know how long one of these box turtles could live?
120 years.
They can live up to 100 years, yes. On the average, though, is like between 40 and 50 years, but still, that's really a long time for them to live. And these dogs really have a good time. They're trained to find the turtles, but they really have a good time. But
Gee.
What?
I don't know. I'm getting punchy here. We need 4 days off, but
I know we
it's
do.
like,
but really, so
the dogs have a good time, or the turtles have a good time?
No, the dogs have a good time finding the turtles. It's the game for them. Even though they're working and they're really working hard, they don't realize that it's work because they just think it's they're having fun.
Yeah, me
but
too.
These box turtles are really they live at least 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Eastern box turtles rarely fight and often share territories. The eastern box turtle is one of 6 subspecies of common box turtles. Female eastern box turtles can produce fertilized eggs for several years after mating. So they could mate once and then have eggs year after year after year for several years after just mating that one time.
Wow.
Eastern box turtles have an excellent homing instinct, and they like to stay close to home. Young male eastern box turtles travel one way.
Wow.
Yeah.
A big circle.
They get nervous when they're away from their territory, so don't move them around.
Yeah, I would. That's very similar to me. I'm within my 5-block radius
You
of where I was
are,
brought up, but you're
aren't
from
you?
New York. But
Yeah.
hey, we are not living on Earth. We are Earth. I would like to end with these thoughts. If you're listening to this show, you are the resistance. From Chief Plentycoops, the ground on which we stand on is sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, and run for office. You've been listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I want to say Peeny Gigi to my wife, Wendy, Ogama, for all her great news each day. It's just been awesome. And then the fun stuff she pops up there while you're talking, Wendy. And then, of course, State Senator Mary Kunesh. We want to give a big special shout out for her. Hey, we are still here. We are the seventh generation.
Free Leonard Peltier. Stop line 3.
This is New Beginnings, hosted by award-winning broadcaster